we have this poly-crisis, this big, huge environmental crisis. I felt like I need to go deeper. Climate change affecting their business model. Trust the process. It's a lot of radical honesty with yourself. What are the best skill sets and superpowers?
Welcome to the Matternity Podcast, where we discuss purpose-driven business innovation. I'm Coach Danwald, a co-founder of Matternity, and today's topic is a matter of a resilient future with Rethink co-founder Franziska.
Hi, Kurt. Happy to talk to you.
Let me talk about Refinq. Refinq is a software as a service company that helps businesses manage climate and biodiversity risks, providing data-proven insights for sustainable decision-making. And now, a bit about Franzi. Before founding Refinq in June of 2023, Franziska was a chief sales officer at Börsianer Friends. She did innovation and digital project management at the Austrian Chamber of Commerce, served as a senior media consultant at the VGN Medien Holding, and worked on digital channel marketing at Vice and Verlagsgruppe News.
Yeah, lots of positions.
Franziska's diverse experience in sales and digital media has equipped her with a unique perspective on integrating environmental considerations into business strategies. What inspired Franziska to transition from media to environmental data? And how is Rethink refining corporate sustainability? We will find out. Okay, Franzi, I'm super happy to have you as a first guest. And maybe for our listeners and viewers, wherever you're watching or listening, Franziska and I have known each other for 15 years?
More than 50. We actually had one of the first courses at university.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. So Franziska and I, we kind of we kind of saw our journey as like from like almost teenagers to adults to business professionals, from like campus parties to actually being co-workers at Vice and Verlagsgruppe. And so happy to now see you run a successful startup. So I know you're a very ambitious person with an insatiable hunger for innovation in business, or really for anything you do, even in sports and stuff, I know. What is it that gives you this energy and determination, or let's say, what's your calling?
It's a really good and deep question. It's one of the first questions. Where to begin? I think I'm general as a character, kind of Duracell. So if I'm inspired, intrigued by a topic, I'm going there and forcing it and try to achieve my goals. But I had, during all these journeys you mentioned, I always was questioning myself like, okay, do I have any impact in what I'm doing? I mean, doing movies, selling media, I mean, it's also important for getting the setup of media discussion and general society discussion and politics. But I was questioning myself like, okay, we have this poly-crisis, this big, huge environmental crisis, and somehow I felt like I need to go deeper. And actually, during my last job, where I was a head of sales at a financial and capital magazine, Börsianer, I listened to a lot of CEOs. I actually knew I want to do this job because I want to look into the financial industry, because there are lots of issues. It was kind of a research task for me. And I combined it with my sales job during this time. So it was
So you knew already that you wanted to do Rethink or something in the direction while you were doing the sales with the CEOs. Okay.
Absolutely. So for me, it was like research, soaking in all of the challenges this industry has. And I spoke to a lot of CEOs during this time, because I had a lot of like appointments, panels, etc. And I listened to them. And I've seen that they are totally in fear based on their business model, because nature, and with nature, I mean not just biodiversity and ecosystem, but climate change and the holistic new sphere of it is attracting their business models. What do I mean with it? Insurances, while of climate change affecting their business model, banks in the way of credit loans, and also enterprises at itself, they need like really better data. They need like transparent data to manage all of this. And because I'm also kind of a nerd, and I'm proud of it, I dive deeper into the whole topic. So I spoke to a lot of people in the industry to like find out what's wrong there. And I've seen the transparency and the ESG ratings and all the greenwashing scandals. We need to change it. And this was the beginning.
So then what would the 10-year-old Franziska say about, oh, the 10-year-old Franziska is watching the Franziska that's sitting opposite of me now. What would she say?
It's actually funny that you're asking me this, because when I was 10 years old, my father is a biologist. And during this time, I remember every Saturday we went to the forest to collect frogs from one side to each other, because he was doing statistics about how are the frogs developing and also protecting them from the car streets, maybe this stuff. So I was counting already during this time, and I've seen already decline statistics about the variety of frogs. And I never would imagine that one day I will go into this direction, where I'm also facing the extinction of animals, plants, and microorganisms, and try to solve it. So I would wonder myself, and would even go deeper during my studies into this topic. So kind of regretting as well.
So you, as somebody who worked in a movie production as well, so if we tell the story of your life in 20 years as a movie, the key moment would be you and your dad collecting frogs and counting the diversity in frogs. Is that right?
There are some intrigue moments in between. I think another important aspect, I think, about my view of the world and problems and challenges is also that I'm coming from a minority. So I'm from one of the smallest Slavic minorities. So I have somehow in my DNA to like survive, to protect, to...
Maybe you need to explain the audience what minority it is, because I know which minority it is, but it's so rare that very few people actually know it.
Yeah, happy to. So the minority is called the Serbs. It's one of the smallest Slavic minorities. And we are just like actually 9,000 people who are really writing, speaking, and reading the language. Officially, it's 60,000. They are based near Leipzig, Berlin, Dresden. And yeah, I'm one of them.
One of the few.
One of the few, yeah.
I think that's a really cool reference, or like memory actually, with your dad. And also, I think it's very inspiring to see people finding back a passion they already had within them in their childhood. And I kind of have the feeling that because the topic is always difficult, especially growing up, everybody's kind of trying to find their passion and also finding a profession that's somewhat suitable with their passion, or like the cause they want to do. What would be your recommendation to somebody maybe looking for the purpose, or looking to work somewhere that's closely related to that?
Yeah, I mean, trust the process. It's really a journey, and I think it's nearly impossible to find it by one click. So I think it's a lot of try and error. It's a lot of radical honesty with yourself as well, like reflecting, because I also know a lot of people who are just doing stuff because they don't want to challenge themselves. And I'm kind of a person who's always challenging myself and asking myself, am I on the proper way? Do I enjoy it? And I think this is one of the most important skill sets you need to find like really your calibration of purpose.
I like the term radical honesty, because I think also that the trap a lot of people fall into, it's not a trap per se, it's a necessity probably, that we go to college, we graduate, and then it's like, okay, we need to do an internship, and then we're like, okay, I kind of want to have my own apartment now. I don't want to live in a shared apartment. I need to get a job, and da 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 da. And the purpose kind of like, it doesn't disappear, but it kind of gets like lost in the moment, and you're focusing on other stuff. And I think you're probably also now at a point in your life and in your career where you're like, okay, now I need this, how do you say, brutal honesty, or like radical honesty, to say like, okay, now where is it going now? I think that's really inspiring. So besides your dad, did you have any other people or mentors that influenced you in that time, or like in your way to where you are now?
Ooh, where to start? I mean, actually, every moment, every challenge you overcome, every chapter in your life is fulfilled with mentors, people who somehow intrigues you, challenge you. So I even can't tell you that there are many of them. Beginning with a childhood, ending during studies, and also the first years during work. They're all around people who give like good advices, bad advices, who challenge you. So yeah.
I mean, a bad influence might be as helpful as a positive one. It's easy to see the negative one. But how did you then actually take that leap of faith, going from like your sales and production background in the career to say like, okay, I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna do a startup. I'm gonna do something purpose driven.
It was also a journey, and because I was reflecting myself always, and I was saying like, okay, come on, I've been at like enterprises where the speed was pretty slow, even if it was an innovation environment. So I realized, okay, I can't do it like this anymore. I need to really find my own passion, my own way out of it. And I knew I need to do it strategically. So that's why I decided, combining my skill set and my knowledge I gained already in sales and business development, in combination of research work. So that was my position at the financial magazine. And during this time, I also have been part of EVOR. It's a kind of accelerator. There was Daniel, actually one of my really pretty strong mentors and believers. He's seen, even in the first moments, my resilience and my persistence, why he at the end actually invested one of the first tickets into Rethink. And Ivo helped me to like validate, finding way of like, you find a problem, but how do you proceed? And how do you build a business model? How do you test this business idea, etc.? So it was a kind of academy for founders. I enjoyed it. I also got like brutal honesty was my first idea with him. And he was like, come on, Franziska, go back into what you can do, look deeper into the topic. And then Refinq was born, yeah.
How often did you change the pitch deck since you had the first idea?
Oh, I can't count. Really, I can't count. Hundreds of times, yeah.
I think there's also an idealistic, like almost ignorant approach when you're a student and you think like, I have this idea and this is the pitch deck, and the hesitation to change it, and it actually has to be somewhat of a fluid thing that's kind of evolving and changing all the time. It should never be static in a sense, but I think you also have to come to that realization at some point. But maybe because I just gave a very brief introduction to Rethink, maybe for the audience, could you give like a explanation what your business model is and what problem you're trying to solve with?
I'm happy to. So what are we doing, and which big problem are we solving with Rethink? So as I described, businesses really have a huge challenge because nature is threatening them. What do I mean with them? We have this planetary boundaries. I don't know if you are familiar with this model.
Like the resources and stuff.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So they're our scientists are telling us already since centuries about the carbon topic, Everyone now got it. We need to solve it. But they haven't been aware about the interconnection of how biodiversity and ecosystems are interchanging climate and also are affecting the carbon topic. So I need to...
It's that example, right? Like that one fish gets fished for like whatever food, and thus the algae doesn't grow back, and then the algae doesn't do the CO2 synthesis, and like that's I think the broadest, or like the kind of biodiversity we kind of learn in school, but it's getting worse and worse with like industrialization and stuff, right?
Absolutely well described in like a general view of the topic. Everything is really connected, our plants, animals, microorganisms, and we have already 8 million of this biodiversity and ecosystems under threat. So we need to act, because otherwise our whole world, how it works together, and as well how climate change is affected by it, collapse. So we need to act on it. And what we do with Rethink, we are combining billions of data points. So you need to imagine we are using satellite data. We are using partnerships with research institutions to get some data. We are using lots of public data. We are also using data from the enterprises by themselves. And we build this nature intelligence hub. It's somehow a kind of natural digital twin. So we try to show the enterprises which kind of dependencies and risks they have, which kind of impacts they have, and then we show them how to get out of it. This is in a nutshell what we do with Refinq.
And how do you get all the data? Is it like open source, or like because it sounds like you need a lot of different data sets?
Yeah, so that's why we have a fantastic team of scientists and engineers. Our scientific team is really doing day-by-day job, speaking with other institutions, collecting, scrubbing the whole global research papers to find newest insights and combine it into comparable metrics. And our engineers are then building these algorithms to really stress the data we are getting day by day by extreme weather events, for example. To give you an example, like the wildfires in California, we all heard of it. It's a combination of the climate, biodiversity nexus. So, for example, it's not just the wind. It's not just that there didn't rain for ages and they had like a big water stress. It's also about the soil, how healthy the soil was to soak in the water before. And it's also about the habitat, like eucalyptus, for example, as a plant is really getting quite quickly into fire. So this is like a perfect example how different data points are working together and how you can really model this kind of status quo of a specific location and can say which kind of threat the nearby houses, production sites, or environment has.
Mm-hmm. So, 2 questions. First question, how much help has been or is AI with all the data sets and stuff? Second question, is then your data, wouldn't that also be like something you could sell to an insurance, or is it some part of your business model?
Really good questions. So yeah, of course, we are an AI-enabled nature intelligence hub. You can't process all this kind of data if you don't use machine learning algorithms for it. So you need to imagine like every risk has its own algorithm, and every algorithm is then going into this super kind of algorithm. This is how our nature intelligence hub works. So yeah, we are processing so many data points from these different institutions and sources. That's why we got like also a lot of deep tech fund, because it's really complex. And that's why we also have this fantastic, great team of different departments and interdisciplinary scientists who are solving it. So I hope I could answer you the first part of your question. The second one is who is like using it. Not just enterprises, of course. We are also in talks with banks. We are also in talks with insurances, with asset managers. So actually, it's getting back into the point where I was with Börsianer and how I came to Rethink. All of these players need this data because it's affecting the business model. It's affecting also how future-proof is a business, how future-proof is the asset for the industry. So it's an absolutely crucial data point, and everyone is awakening right now.
So, how do you measure success then at Rethink? Is like not from the economic sales point of view or the revenue point of view, but what's your KPIs at Rethink?
The North Star.
The North Star.
The startup wording is like North Star. Yeah, of course, I have to say it's always like clients and revenue, which is like one of the most important things. But beside of this, our North Star is like really how many assets are we evaluating? How many locations are going into our nature intelligence hub? Because this is for us like an indicator how much businesses we are helping with our data. So this is currently our approach. This is it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just a very generic question, but I think it's always very important to also then reference it with you and your business as a viewer and listener. What are your 3 most important values as a CEO?
Back to radical honesty. I think this is like part of myself, part of how we work with my co-founders also together, because it's quite an intense relationship. And you can just survive and really build something great if you have a trustful and honest relationship. So this is like the core value and the core point for me. Also with our employers, it's like not just feedback, because yes, the feedback culture is around us since ages, but really honest feedback. Secondly, I think it's important that everyone knows where we are heading to, that everyone is aligned, and that everyone also knows what are the best skill sets and superpowers to like contribute to our mission. So this is still what we need to improve a bit, because I think it's an endless road, but it's absolutely one of my values. And third of all is like, you never can do it on your own. You need like lots of partnerships in every kind of dimensions. So it begins your team, and it goes with your investors, it goes with strategic partners, also with like media, etc. So there are so many stakeholders, and like having this in balance and also working hard to like contribute and work with the stakeholders is like for me crucial also for building Refinq and doing a successful startup out of it.
So it must be interesting for you now being in the CEO role and having employees. How does it feel suddenly being like, first of all, responsible, but also like somewhat having to be the inspiration, and that you being the North Star for your employees?
Yeah, I mean, it's not happening from one day to the other. I think what we all really see month by month is we are developing ourselves as a team, we as founders in our roles. I think the most important thing is being authentic. So I don't see myself like, okay, you need to act now like this. The pressure to like really building it and making it successful is on since day one. And it makes really fun to have like a team to work together on it. So I hope I could answer your question, because actually I can't give like a classical answer, because I'm doing it because I'm having such a fun on it and I want to, getting it on a high level done. That's why we started Rethink, and it's not a topic about job time.
Yeah, I think that kind of has to be in your kind of environment, I guess. So looking at the next couple of months or maybe the next year, what are the big challenges you are facing now with Rethink?
We are growing fast. We have different talks with investors, with strategic partners. So bringing it from developing a great product, having the first fantastic and really, really helpful clients, because they are still feedbacking us a lot. And we have a bunch of features in our roadmap. But it means also like scaling. And scaling means not just internally, but externally. And I think I'm pretty curious about this kind of next stage, which is in front of us. I still don't know what does it mean all. I have a plan, I have a financial model, I'm pitching and talking with a lot of investors, but I'm really, really excited about it. Let's see. Let's talk in 1 year.
And what's the one challenge that keeps you up at night?
Yeah, to be honest, to be frank, we right now raising money. It's like which kind of investors are the best fit. This is like I don't have nightmares. I'm sleeping really well. But yeah, it's intense.
But I think that's something super, super valuable, that you can sleep well.
Yeah, I
And
always slept well.
how good is your work-life balance now as a CEO? And how much like personal care in your own like sustainable development do you put?
Yeah, I mean, I have a fantastic boyfriend who supported me since day one, so he's contributing quite well, quite a lot. But we also found a hobby together, which is helping us to like, in all this stressful workaholic moments of mine, to like still have great time together. And also my friends are amazing, because I quite often need to like reschedule, and I'm not such, I won't say a good friend, but it's challenging sometimes, I think. And I'm really, really thankful for, their contribution also to it. But to answer it quite directly, I mean, it changed completely. I've always been a workaholic, but this is now my life, you know. But I'm still aware of it, that good sleep, good food, and also taking time for friends and family is important. So it's a way of like prioritizing. Yeah.
One segment that we kind of thought would be cool on our podcast is what book could you recommend that really changed your perspective or was a game changer for yourself?
Yeah, it's the book Big Five from John Stadlovich. I hope I can pronounce it properly. Otherwise, you can write it down in the caption. And it was during this time of like permanently reflecting myself, permanent like, okay, what I'm in and where I'm good in. And it actually helped me to like, on my reflecting, calibrating journey, to like find proper answers. So I can recommend everyone in a kind of crisis. And then there are lots of books about climate change, environment, etc. I can also send you a book list for everyone who wants to dive deeper into the topic of climate change and biodiversity.
Mm-hmm. And now we're almost coming to the end of the podcast. What key takeaway or actual piece of advice would you give our listeners and viewers if they want to find fulfillment in their life and businesses? What would it be?
Reading the book. I mean, where to start? I would say, first of all, taking time for reflection, maybe also going and speaking to a coach or something. It always begins with yourself. Then questioning yourself and your own skill set, and what like really empowers you. I mean, there are thinkings and wishful thinkings about what you have to do and things what you are actually good at. So I think it starts and ends with it. And third of all, never give up. Stay persistent, resilient. It's especially in like starting a company, absolutely roller coaster, and it's a thrill. But I'm a person who's really enjoying it. So if you are a person who's not enjoying it, so I don't recommend it. Yeah, this is it.
Amazing. Very inspiring words, very inspiring journey. I'm super happy to have had you as the first guest of our podcast, and I hope to have you soon back in maybe a year when your business has grown even further. Thank you very much, Franzi. I wish you all the best.
We are growing up now.
Franziska. Franziska, I wish you all the best, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Kurt. Enjoyed it as well.
As you can see, we are fairly new to creating podcasts, but it would mean the world to us if you could click subscribe.